Thank you, Chief. Mark, are you ready?
I am. Thank you. So nice to join a bunch of Democrats this evening. I am Marc Levine. I am an assembly member representing Marin and Sonoma County. I was elected in 2012, but I am a native of Los Angeles and worked in Santa Monica before migrating north and committing the sin of falling in love with someone from Northern California, which made me move to where she was raised, and they embraced me and elected me to represent them in the state legislature, and before that in the city that we lived in, on the city council. So I always feel at home being in LA. I have friends that live in Culver City for 20 plus years since college, and so it's great to join you. I'm running for insurance commissioner, and I first got involved in insurance issues after the 2017 fires that affected the whole state, but affected one of my counties, Sonoma County. Then Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones asked me to author 3 bills to protect fire survivors as they're trying to rebuild, making sure they know what their coverage is, making sure that they can move and get their benefits, but move somewhere else if they didn't want to rebuild, because no one has it in their list of things that they want to do is rebuild after a fire. And also to make sure that people know if they're fully insured. So you may have gotten a letter from your insurer saying the estimate to rebuild your home is X, but you're insured at Y, and you need to be aware of this because so many fire survivors, they lost their home, realized that they were underinsured, and we want to protect people from that. And so I authored the bill to make sure that people were informed about their rebuilding costs. But since then, people still had a hard time. I've had constituents, and they're not just my constituents, but people from up and down the state, call me up and they're concerned about being canceled or non-renewed or having skyrocketing rates year over year. I live 2 stoplights off of Highway 101. We have a 101 across the entire state of California, but I even live in a wildland urban interface. And so we have what we call WUIs all across California, and you don't even live very far from one where you are. So many people that you know probably are going through the very same thing. So I've introduced legislation to help strengthen the insurance marketplace, make sure that those who live in high and moderate fire risk areas, they don't put a cost burden on you, but that there is an insurance product that is appropriately priced for them, but that they can get high quality insurance just like you need high quality insurance, putting downward pressure on your rates so that the insurers aren't looking to you to get their profits. And also saying that if you are doing defensible space in your neighborhood and on your parcel itself, that you should be guaranteed high quality home insurance, because right now the current commissioner's plan is to push everyone onto what's called the FAIR plan, which is on its website supposed to be temporary and is the plan of last resort. So what that does is it's very expensive and has very low benefits. And so that's private insurers actually provide that type of insurance. They're making money off of the insurance commissioner pushing people onto that because they pay less out, but collect more. Meanwhile, they want to cancel or raise rates. So we need to fix that. So why is there a problem that's been brewing for years? And I looked around, I tried to figure out why am I authoring legislation and trying to have reforms, and there's no leadership from Ricardo Lara. So I looked into what he's been up to. And I saw that ever since disgraced Republican Insurance Commissioner Chuck Quackenbush resigned from office, no insurance commissioner has accepted campaign money from the insurance industry, except Ricardo Lara. He was not caught once, but twice. And on the second time, he was caught receiving the campaign donations from the spouses of insurance executives. Those insurance executives benefited from Lara overruling his administrative law judges 5 times. These were bait and switch cases that this insurer, a $900 million insurance company, engaged in. He ultimately allowed this company to move to New Mexico, saving his donors, or the husbands of his donors, $60 million in their purchase of this company from Berkshire Hathaway. It gets worse. His former boss was the lobbyist of the deal, and they were in line to receive a $2 million success bonus, which has all been publicly revealed because of lawsuits on this situation that's been very well reported by Jeff McDonald in the San Diego Union Tribune. But many of the campaign issues have been covered in the LA Times as well. So I need to stand up for my constituents and really all Californians and say, let's have someone who's got the interest and the aptitude to solve our insurance problems. It's not just solely homeowners insurance. My son has epilepsy. My father has Parkinson's. I drive an 8-year-old car with 150,000 miles on it. I know insurance problems. I live the insurance nightmare that so many of us live. I'm proud to be endorsed by the California Nurses Association. I got in this race late last year, and you know, we're fighting hard for you. We need someone in the insurance commissioner's office who's going to fight for you. And you know, I'm proud that the sponsors of single payer healthcare believe in me, that I'm going to fight for people, and it means the world. And it's more than just what we talk about insurance rates. So while insurers want to charge more because of climate risk, Dave Jones had demanded disclosure of insurance company investments in fossil fuels, and they did. Laura has done nothing and has not required it, but I'm going further, and I've introduced legislation to make sure that they disclose not just their investments, but also the underwriting they're doing. So they want to charge us more because of climate risk, but they're underwriting climate change exacerbating projects and investing in them, making money on that side too. And that needs to come to an end. And I'm also going to protect your data. Ricardo Lara was videotaped in a private meeting with insurance executives. It was on Good Day LA, saying that he wanted to share your data with them. Now he comes out saying on Twitter he's fighting Elon Musk because Elon Musk wants to use your data. And Elon Musk wants other Tesla drivers to be able to share data. That's a different story. I'm not going to get into it. But he can't beat his chest on one hand, saying that he's going to stand up to Elon Musk, when in private meetings he says the exact opposite. So, you know, it's not impolite, it feels it, for a fellow Democrat who's been serving the legislature for a decade to expect more. And while it's somewhat maybe awkward to call out a colleague who's not doing his job or is corrupt, it's important to do. And that's why I'm running for insurance commissioner. You guys have a vote. Many of you are Democratic Party delegates. And so you have a voice that is extraordinarily powerful and can amplify. And so I'm asking for you, for your endorsement in the CDP endorsement process. We can stop the party from endorsing a corrupt candidate or a corrupt incumbent. We can release our party from some obligation that it doesn't have to support that by not endorsing him. And so I'm grateful for being here, being a part of your meeting. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Great, thanks so much. And we do have Ricardo Lara will be joining us later, so people will be able to bring some of these questions to him directly if they'd like as well. Disa Lindgren.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. I wanted to ask if you might speak a little bit about renters. I was a renter for most of my life as an adult, and I did have renter's insurance, but I know a lot of renters don't, and I'm wondering if that would be something that you would want to work on, you know, amplify the need and make sure there are fair opportunities. And then a second question is, do you see a possibility for the insurance commissioner of our state to be really bold and aggressive and strong on climate change, not just calling out, you know, the insurance industry's contributions to the problems, but helping us to really tackle the problem, because we need to have urgency about this issue in every facet of you know, public policy making. And thank you.
Yeah, Disa, I love your question. So thank you for raising the issue of renters insurance. Coffee Park in Santa Rosa, so really close to where I live, while many of the homes that burned down in that neighborhood were single family residents or single family households, it was a rental community. Many of them were renters, and many of them didn't have any insurance, or they had very little insurance. And so some homeowners benefited by having money to deal with living expenses. Often renters insurance doesn't provide those types of protections. But they also, if they didn't have insurance, didn't have a way to recover anything for their personal property. And so more awareness about this is extraordinarily important for renters to make sure that they do have protections. And there will be a very strong emphasis of that for renters. It's hard because I don't want to be a shill for the industry, and market their products for them. But for renters, it's an important protection that many believe is unaffordable. And renters insurance can be affordable, and it is important as well. Secondly, on climate, disclosure is a path to accountability. Prop 103 gives the insurance commissioner tremendous amounts of power, and it is underutilized. You know, I'll use an LA term. There are no small roles. There are only small actors. The insurance commissioner job is one of the most powerful jobs in the state of California to protect constituents, to protect Californians. And with disclosure, you can then lead to enforcement and divestment.
Great, thanks. Tom and or Ronnie.
Yes, medical insurance. At one time, there used to be treble damages if they improperly denied a claim. And now, if you get caught, the insurance company denying a good claim, all they have to pay is what they should have paid in the first place. No triple damages. When we had triple damages, they did more claims and they said they were okay. But now there's no penalty. They just deny as many as they can. Would you promote a bill that would go back to treble damages?
So I would be glad to look into that, because insurance industry's kind of MO is to delay any payout. That is their, like, everyone's job there is to not return calls and to give people a runaround. And so I want to tell you an unfortunate story. It ended well, but the former wife of a man, a fellow died, and so she wasn't technically the widow, but they had 3 children together. She had a roof over her head and a job, and she was able to provide for her children. But for 6 months, she was getting the runaround from the life insurance company. They wouldn't return her calls. They would say because of COVID, they just didn't have their act together to do the payout. Meanwhile, there were 3 beneficiaries that were owed, the 3 children. And that is not okay for an insurance company to give anyone the runaround on benefits that it owes to beneficiaries. But I think what's also alarming to me is that she called me and not the insurance commissioner's office. As soon as I announced that I was running for insurance commissioner, it was like I was a lightning rod for people who had had problems for years. And they found me. And then I started providing constituent services for people around the state, being an advocate for them. We got her money, or we got her children their money. But it shouldn't take a lawmaker or even the insurance commissioner to get involved. Insurance companies need to fear enforcement, and there is no enforcement right now. And when they fear enforcement, they will then treat their beneficiaries and their customers the way they deserve to be treated, the way that you've been paying premiums for years, that you have a payout, it needs to come to you, and it needs to come to you without delay.
Would you support a bill for treble damages like it used to be?
Yeah, no, I heard your question. I don't know the former law. I would enforce the fact that they have to pay out. So if treble damages is the mechanism, great, but we're going to figure out a way to make sure that they are paying out. So I don't know if that's the best way or not. So I can't answer if I would support that specific bill, but you're damn right, they need to pay out the benefits. And we will figure out a way to make sure that that happens. That's my commitment.
If I could tag that one, am I correct that you support a single payer system in California?
I do, and I'm grateful for the California Nurses Association's sole endorsement of me. It shows that they recognize the fight that I have. I walk that fight. No one should be alone in their quest to get coverage for someone they love and someone that they care about. And I'm honored by CNA's endorsement.
Great. Well, if no one else has a question, I think we can move on. But thank you so much for visiting us.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and Cynthia. Thank you for the invitation. I'm grateful for it.
Oh, last minute bonus question from Ji Young.
I saw on the Courage website that you are taking oil and gas money and COP money. And I'm just wondering why that is and how those donations will play into your decisions.
Yeah, I've never received any oil money at all. The entire time that I've been in the legislature, I've authored legislation to ban fracking. And so I'm not sure where they're getting their data on that. As far as law enforcement money, I do have local police and law enforcement unions in my community. And so I do accept labor money. And so I'm not going to discriminate based on one labor union over another, because I could discriminate on many workers who are employed also in oil and gas, right? But how do you figure out which one is which? It's very challenging. And so it's not something that I mean, I'm being very honest and transparent with you. It's something that if we wanted to be really engaged in, I probably would not be able to accept a lot of labor union money because of that filter. But I appreciate the question very much. And I think also my record on police reform is pretty strong. So I'm, anyhow, but I appreciate that question.
Great. So let's move on to David Kim.
Have a good night. Thank you.